Hi, everyone, and welcome to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with Wendy K. Laidlaw. Wendy has spent the last 2 years helping women with various stages of endometriosis to heal naturally after putting her condition into remission. After her own healing success from stage 4 endometriosis and adenomyosis, she's inspired to heal others, and her goal is to help some of the 175 million women know that there is another way other than painkillers, drugs, or surgery. This is the place to be for real talk with real people for real results, so you can learn how to heal your endometriosis naturally. Please note that the opinions expressed in this program may represent options, but are not a substitute for proper medical care. Before starting any new healthcare program, we recommend you consult with a health professional.
So hey everyone, it's Wendy K. Laidlaw here from Heal Endometriosis Naturally. As always, I hope that this message finds you well. Today I'm going to be discussing some more personal aspects which I hope can relate to you, just as an increase of awareness as I continue on my journey, and I hope it can inspire you to start yours wherever you are on trying to heal your endometriosis naturally. So yes, I wanted to share an exciting development in my personal growth. I finally realized that actually I like myself, in inverted commas. I'm sure you're wondering why I'm sharing that with you, because that seems a rather odd statement, but do bear with me. Since a young age, and for as long as I could remember, I was aware of other people. I could anticipate everyone's needs. I became good, in fact, and great, in fact, at knowing what other people in my family needed, even before they did. Do you relate to this? Do you feel like that with other people? I have found that there is this common trait amongst women with endometriosis, and it's this amazingly high degree of sensitivity. A sensitivity that sadly many women come to dislike. And they dislike the sensitivity because it causes pain, not only physically, but emotionally, even spiritually. Because sadly, women are conditioned from birth to be good girls, in inverted commas, to sit pretty and to be seen and not heard, conditioned to be the caretakers of others. You just have to look at the gender-related toys and what many young girls play with. And it isn't often cars and soldiers. Whilst I never really had an opinion either way before, as I've got older, the gender divide has become more apparent to me. When the introduction of gender-neutral toys came out, I admit to being a little surprised. What did it matter if girls played with babies and dressed in pink, and boys played with cars and wore blue? As I started my journey to healing my endometriosis, I was forced to pay more attention to how my body and emotions responded to the world around me. I became aware of societal conditioning and the pressure of certain roles that had been put upon me, like other women. How they had weighed heavily on me and on my spirit. Vampirize my soul was a phrase I used often before I would have my 6th surgery and be forced to take a new and freeing path. I knew I was sensitive. My family had laughed and mocked me about this personality trait from a very young age. I had ended up viewing the sensitivity as a blight on the landscape of who I was and how I existed in the world. This sensitivity allowed me to predict, however, and anticipate what somebody needed and wanted even before they did, as I mentioned earlier. And it was exhausting and hurtful when it wasn't appreciated or valued. What I didn't know then was that I was being conditioned to be a codependent and compliant. This was another discovery and another label to give myself. It felt like another example of how I had failed and a reminder of how I should keep the critical voice up loud. Be better, Wendy. Get it right, Wendy. If I could just explain more easily, then they would understand. What I would come to learn as I passed through all these labels and learning was that my training ground was steeped in covert abuse. When I first became aware of this, I was shocked. I recognized I'd been a little naive. I was wrapped up, like most girls growing up, in a bubble of Walt Disney and fairy tales and make-believe. I used to say to myself, oh, they didn't mean it. It's my fault. Oh, of course they love me. I just need to be better. They don't really understand how they hurt me. I just need to be better at explaining. Then they will stop. Those were the thoughts that I recognize now were my false belief systems, that were created when I had been trying to make sense of the chaos growing up. I was the only one in our dysfunctional family who questioned people's behaviors. Everyone else told me to shush and to turn a blind eye. I would learn to make excuses for all the emotional destruction and physical ills of the family. I would pass through depression after my daughter was born. I was in my mid-20s by this stage. I would recognize love for the first time when she was born and realize that the impact of a sledgehammer hitting me over the head, that I'd never actually received that kind of love growing up. The wave of depression and grief was hard to ignore. I was also overjoyed to have fallen pregnant after the doctors had told me repeatedly I would never have any children, and also had a threatened miscarriage. So to be battling these confusing feelings troubled me, feelings that I didn't want to have. You see, growing up, there was massive dysfunction in my family, and the World Health Organization report as high as 80% of families are dysfunctional. So what does dysfunctional even mean? Supposedly it means not normal. But then begs the question, what is normal? Psychologists state that the human baby needs a good enough, in inverted commas, mother or caregiver to attend to the needs of the child, i.e. holding, soothing, singing, soft, gentle eyes, a feeling of safety, feeding, nappy changing, etc. The family story for me is that when I was 2 years old, I jumped onto my little bike, wearing nothing but my nappy, and cycled off into the sunrise, i.e. heading towards the centre of town, all on my own. The police were called and it took them about 8 or 9 hours to track me down. Other incidents occurred throughout my younger years, yet no one ever questioned these shenanigans. My mother would get progressively worse and crescendo into assault and, dare I say, even attempted murder. An old counsellor of mine used to voice dismay that incidents occurred like these and how I was not put into the social care system. But I would handle the physical abuse with different types of rationalization growing up. But the worst was the emotional and psychological toxic treatment. When abuse, in inverted commas, was first mentioned to me, I equated it as just a physical form of cruelty. It never occurred to me that the acidic verbal attacks, the put-downs, flirtations and relations with my boyfriend, and promises of destroying me was a form of abuse. To look back now, I feel sad for that innocent and optimistic part of me that felt it couldn't really be her, it must be me. I recognize that the psyche can't make sense that a parent would be so cruel, so the child has to project that back to themselves. That is where I guess it must be me originates from. Have you had that phrase when you can't make sense of other people and you say to yourself, it must be me? It's comprehensible to a highly sensitive and empathetic person to believe that another human being would behave in that way intentionally. But I would come to learn it's true. It took me a long time to come to terms with the fact that there are highly toxic people out in the world. And some might just have given birth to you. Society is unaccepting in many cases that a parent would be so toxic and cruel to their child. So therefore I would remain silent for decades. Only with the help of counselling, and in particular EMDR, which is short for eye movements, desensitization and reprocessing, along with journaling and meditation, would I comfortably be able to allow the past to be heard and processed and turn that poison to peace. I would go through the well-worn path of self-blame, self-criticism, self-berating daily for almost 50 years before I would wipe away the fogged-up mirror and see my family for what it was, rather than what I thought it could have been or should have been. The overt toxic people are easy to see, and in many cases, easier to manage. It's the covert people that are a different matter. The covert toxic people appear in public to be very charming and the old butter wouldn't melt in their mouth type of person. The person everybody says how lovely they are. Yet behind closed doors, another person emerges, who may be cold, full of disdain, entitled, grandiose, and know-it-all, a person who enjoys prolonged silences as a form of punishment to you and takes pleasure in personal put-downs and snide remarks. That type of toxicity to any human leaves a profound impact and deep subconscious scars as damaging as any physical ones. The human body produces high levels of stress hormones like cortisol when it feels under threat or attack. The nervous system is trained to stay in a high state of alert, which stays on all the time, with the body feeling unable to relax. Even these aspects on their own affect the immune system and create inflammation in the body. And we haven't even started on our food, produce, products, or environment yet. To have learned names for the behavior helped me to make sense and move through to the other side. I would not change my past for if I had a choice, because I would not be who I am now. I'm a great believer that our troubled past is a training ground in disguise. Training is for the future purpose or mission. So if you are not really feeling like you like yourself very much or struggle with self-care, it may just be down to conditioning. My upbringing was very extreme, but I know of women I work with who have been poorly treated by family themselves and then go into marry their parents, so to speak, in disguise. So the patterns unfortunately persist. Do you worry why you keep attracting the same partners who are emotionally absent, distant, and unavailable? You may be attracting an emotionally distant partner or someone who has similar traits to your parents. Subconsciously, the experts say that we may be trying to put right what was wrong growing up. My last partner was highly toxic, yet his projection was me that was the problem. I guess I'm lucky because I read all I could about narcissistic people, toxic people, dysfunctional families, and how to put in boundaries and learn self-care. Those aspects help me to this day. The strength I have now is at a core cellular level. It's not superficial or for appearances. My path was rocked with pain, but I have got to the payoff and see myself as I am, not how toxic people projected onto me. Whilst not all parents are toxic, some are, and this is hard for the subconscious to comprehend because when we are born, we're totally helpless and totally dependable upon them. So spare a thought for little you. Spare a thought for the younger you that grew up in whatever household you grew up in that didn't give you the safety, the comforting, and the love that you needed. The little you who tried her best to keep everyone happy over and above herself. Commend her, praise her, thank her for keeping you safe, but also renegotiate the terms of relationships with people around you, and most importantly, with yourself. Most humans in the Western world do not like themselves. It's such a sad state of affairs. And I used to be one of them. But I have let go of all the toxic projection placed upon me over decades. I've laid down that sack worn with age, ripped with the arrows fired into my back by those I thought who were family and friends. I recognize now our definition was different. I'm now able to see my sensitivity, my drive and ambition to help free other women from endometriosis as a strength. Yes, the training was tough, but I couldn't do the work that I do now had I not gone through my past experiences. And finally, I like myself. Now your job is to claim your right to your seat at the table of life. Stop hiding in the shadows, for you have nothing to be ashamed of or nothing to hide from. Brush off that toxicity and learn how to claim back your life and your body. And learn finally how to like yourself too. My job now is to help women recognize their innate, beautiful strength and purpose and help them heal their bodies naturally. And to learn to not only like themselves, but to find peace and love in their body, mind, and spirit. And of course, become a boss of their endometriosis and endoboss. The next 21-day challenge starts next week, and its aim is to help you to start the journey of emotional mastery and how to put yourself first for 21 days. Revel in 21 days of nourishment and nurturing, and revel in a new and empowering way of feelings of hope and enlightenment. I hope to meet you on this challenge, and please go to endoboss.com/challenge, and I hope to meet you there and get to know you there. But in the meantime, keep you number one to your health.
Thanks for listening to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with Wendy K. Laidlaw, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and rate us. If you're interested in learning more, you can download your top 5 jumpstart tips at healendometriosisnaturally.com and jump on the VIP email list. Remember to keep you number one, for the world needs a healthy you.